What will you see?
Other stuff.
You'll see some bone that's poked through the skin, possibly some blood. What do you want to make sure we do if it's bleeding? We want to control the bleeding. Our critical intervention for this is going to be to kind of like cover that exposed bone, protect it from like being bumped against anything, and also just like stuff getting into it. So what we like to do is use kind of our like pocket mask or BVM mask. It's see-through, so you can still kind of like keep an eye on the area, but it'll kind of like create a little dome over top of that injured spot. And it's pretty easy to use. You'll always have one of these available, and the rest is pretty straightforward. So you're gonna need. Yeah.
Steal.
Do you carry those around with you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Something you do have with you.
Yeah.
Abdo pads, we're gonna grab 2 of these. Pretend this one's open to kind of like control any of that bleeding. And again, while we do this, a partner would be stabilizing the fracture the whole time, not letting go.
Sorry, is that a pocket mask?
Yeah, well, this is technically a pocket mask, but we're using it for the BVM. But basically, anything mask like this is great.
Last class named it the Bone Dome.
That's good.
Really good.
Love that.
You should change your name to the group chat.
The bone dome.
You'll need a SAM split, and then you'll need the tensor. So we'll do this one. Again, someone's stabilizing this the whole time. We're going to use the SAM, not necessarily to like immobilize, but more to just like give us something to wrap this around, rather than just like the leg itself. There you go. So let's say the open fracture is here. Obviously, we've exposed it, we've been stabilizing it. I get my partner to very gently help lift the leg up. So I'm just gonna get that underneath. Again, put some padding under that. Then we're gonna get our abdo pad and just kind of get this right by where, so like if it's poking out around here, we're gonna get this nice and close. Not necessarily like over top of it, but just nice and close to control any like additional bleeding that might still be going on, and just kind of protect the area. Grab our pocket mask, and again, if the bone is kind of poking out here, this goes around here like this. And then going from top to bottom, you're just basically securing it all. Pretend my partner is helping me lift the leg.
Some help?
Sure. Again, whenever you do these things, try and make it look neat. Try and make it look, whoa, look at that. Make it look pretty. You're just kind of going over, once I finish, you'll see what it looks like. The size of the pocket mask to kind of keep it in place. And then, again, secure this with tape or something. Thanks. Again, this part here would be rolled up as just the paper. And then that way, you've got this little peek hole where you can take a look. But it's still kind of protecting it. And the good thing too is the pocket mask has that sort of padding around it, which is also not just like a hard surface that's going on the shin or on wherever area you're putting this on. After you apply anything, right, we're going to check distal pulse. So I would check to make sure that I've still got a good pedal pulse. I can check cap refill, make sure that he's not experiencing any like numbness or tingling. But yeah, it's a really cool method. It's very useful. Yes.
And that's something they would look for in like an exam.
Yeah, this is totally like licensing.
So when we're doing our kit checks, we got to make sure we got at least 2 of those.
2 of which?
BVM, the masks, because one, obviously, if we're using it to help him breathe.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Okay, so we gotta have two.
Yeah. But yeah, so again, this is gonna be like, this will be a critical intervention because we don't really want to move our patient with like exposed bone. Yeah.
Would licensing get grandiose, like, my only thought was sterility of the DEN mask? Are we assuming that the kit is fully sterile and ready to go, or is...
Well, again, you're not like putting this, like, it's not a massive bone that's like sticking like this. Like, it might just be like a little tiny point, so this isn't like touching, it's kind of like around it.
So they're not going to be that nitpicky?
No, as long as you're not, you haven't used it on someone else.
Or use it after.
Okay.
Yeah. If it's massive and this would be like touching and pressing on it, then you probably wouldn't do this. But for the most part, it's not.
What are some ways that you would stabilize a large, like, open fracture? Like
Yeah.
some other ways, like
Some other ways. Well, above and below is usually the best way to go.
and for transport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You can do this as well, like up here, for this kind of, if you've got an open fracture on the radius ulna, that works there too. Pretty much anywhere this will work. But again, always check circulation after you apply this. Especially for like an open fracture, we want to make sure we haven't altered the circulation at all.